Okay. All right. So I got the cue that I'm live now. Hi, everyone. You all, I already know. Again, I'm Jennifer, and thank you for joining me for today's webinar discussion. I hope you're having a good Friday and that you're going to be doing well and take care of yourself. So as we enter the month of April, there are major updates for California residents regarding the tiers and distribution of vaccines. We're gonna dive, or I'm gonna dive a little deeper into that in a moment. But before we get started, I also wanted to drop some vaccine data and updates from the last time that myself, Tammy, and Christine came on live to share some information updates. So currently to this date, there are 18 million vaccines that have been administered, but only 6.6 million Californians out of nearly 40 million are fully vaccinated, which makes up only 16.8% of the total population. So this is a slight increase by 7% from the last time we reported when the stats were showing 10.1% of those who were fully vaccinated. And then those who have at least received one dose um, of the vaccine is the rate is at 31. I think we have back in with me on my microphone, so I hope that it's good now. Let me kind of restart a little just so that we're kind of settling back on track. So I hope that you all are having this. I hope my audio works. I am so sorry, y'all. We are getting off on an eventful Friday live updates from me. But I think that's what makes it special is that we're forgiving of this moment. So let me restart again. Thank you all for joining me for today's webinar discussion, which is primarily about the April COVID-19 vaccine updates, specifically in California, and kind of following up on the updates and news that were given from Governor Gavin Newsom and his office. So, as I mentioned, to this date, there are 18 million vaccines that have been administered, but only 6.6 million Californians out of nearly 40 million are fully vaccinated, which makes up only 16.8% of the total population in our state. And this is only a slight increase by 7% from which we last reported, which was 10.1% at that time of those who are fully vaccinated. And then for residents who've received at least one dose, we are at a rate of 31.3%. And then specifically speaking for our regions where HIP we really heavily operate in, which is Sacramento and Fresno, Sacramento County has administered to, the most current time and date around I think 656,000 and then 666 doses. And as for Fresno County, they've administered 413,134 doses. And if we kind of relay it or lay it over on top of the current overall population in both counties, Sacramento's overall population stands at nearly 1.6 million. So we probably still have like a million more Sacramento residents to prioritize in making sure that they get vaccinated. And then with Fresno's current population of 1 million, we're also less than half of the way there. And speaking of some of our direct community outreach and work to help navigate them to secure appointment slots, this past month alone, we have been able to assist 400 community members in both regions. Today in South Sacramento, there have been 1,140 vaccines that were given out to communities of color alone. And leading into the important updates for California from the governor's office, As of yesterday, April 1st, all Californians who are the ages 50 and older are eligible for COVID-19 vaccines. And then come mid-April or April 15th, Californians aged 16 and older will be eligible to be vaccinated. And this brings on a lot of great hope and excitement, but also a lot of concerns because we know that since the vaccine rollout was implemented and started, um, we've all known too well that even with expanded vaccine supplies and eligibility, this will only increase the waiting time to secure an appointment. Because as all tiers slowly all open up, increasing the eligibility and the pool of those who are trying to find an appointment to receive their vaccine, this will definitely prolong it even more, especially if there's not enough efficiency in increasing the distribution to vaccine clinic sites to meet the demands. More importantly, so in the state of California, you can sign up for available appointments through their website at myturn.ca.gov, which is available in 12 languages, but of course, and to no surprise, it's not available in Hmong. And you can also call this number, and I'm just going to repeat it out loud or share it out loud. It's 1-833-422-4255, where assistance is available in over 250 languages. And unfortunately, I couldn't verify if there is Hmong, but I'm assuming with amassing 250 languages that Hmong should be an option. So let me just repeat the number again. It's 1-833-422-4255 for kind of like live assistance. More importantly, with HIP, you can sign up for our Hmong COVID-19 vaccine network. And the link is right here, and it'll probably get dropped in the comments as well. But again, re-emphasizing that through this vaccine network that we developed within our organization, we have been able to connect 400 community members directly to COVID-19 vaccine appointments already since March 1st. And yes, please look to HIP as a resource in our community to help you and your loved ones navigate this really complex and competitive system, if I can say, because it's like you're trying to buy like concert tickets when it kind of like releases. It's really chaotic, and we know there's a lot of stress involved, and sometimes it can be really discouraging. But yeah, like please seek HIP and fill in your information and your family members' information in our vaccine network online. And we will definitely get in touch with you to help you ensure that you and your loved ones can secure an appointment slot. We've stressed repeatedly the problem with equitable access, especially for our community, and there's a huge concern about increasing the supply in order to meet the demands that will surely arrive as these final tiers in April open up. And another kind of like disconnect or challenge with that too, aside from meeting the demands, is that a lot of our community members, specifically in our home community, have reached out to us to ask about how to be better informed about the vaccine as caretakers. And I know that many of us live in intergenerational households, meaning that, you know, we live in a household where it's not just like only strictly young people, right? There's our parents, there's our grandparents, there's kids, children. There's a diverse, wide age range of family members that live together under one roof and all have different obligations that might require them to go in and out of the home based off your job or other obligations. And so there's a lot of challenge to try to encourage and empower our parents and our grandparents and other elders to get vaccinated. So the big question has been, like, how can you talk to elders about the vaccine or getting vaccinated and making sure that they, they understand what they're doing or what the process is when they go and get vaccinated. So first and foremost, I do want to say that, you are the trusted messenger, and that is not to add pressure to you as the trusted messenger, but you don't have to be alone in this process of trying to convince or persuade or empower your family, your parents, your loved ones to get vaccinated. And this goes to say maybe build a strategy to get vaccinated together, and especially call on family and relatives and close friends who have already gotten vaccinated. And it doesn't have to be a formal strategy. I'm not saying you have to like really pinpoint game plans and like talk it over, but just, like, your family and your close circle of relatives best, and talk to those who've already, secured appointments, who've already received their first dose, are pending to attend their appointment, or have already completed it, and team up and build support and persuasion into this conversation. Um, yeah, like I can speak on my experience. I might have brought it up before, but what I saw that was really powerful was that, like for my mom, for example, she did want to receive the vaccine, but she was kind of like reluctant and hesitant, and she wasn't like really 100% all in until my kucha and kucha po, they or Nedalo, Nedalo, they started getting all vaccinated. And then they had conversations over the phone like, hey, did you get vaccinated yet? So they kind of like checked in with each other. And I don't think they intended on it. But you know how family, now that we can't physically meet up, they're more often like connecting through phone or calling on the phone, talking to each other, catching up via phone. And so because of those conversations that my mom had with my aunties and uncles, and knowing that they already got vaccinated, it really encouraged her and pushed the urgency for her to go and get vaccinated too. And that's when she started asking me, like, hey, like, what locations or places can we go to get vaccinated? I should be eligible. And yeah, there are lots of resources, lots, in fact, that sometimes it can be really overwhelming and discouraging. But bringing back to my main point is that like get family members involved, because that does increase the chances of your parents or your elders, grandparents feeling encouraged to go out and get vaccinated, because that relationship and that trust is already, established and there. So there's not as much barrier to be like, hey mom, hey dad, let's take you, or let's find an appointment for you and get you vaccinated. And also, there's probably not enough highlight out in the community, but our Hmong community is going out and getting vaccinated, believe it or not. And um, some, in spite of some news that our grandparents and parents might be consuming and might be kind of like misleading them or deterring them from getting vaccinated, just know that again, you are the trusted messenger, and you don't have to be alone on this. There's HIP, and then there's your relatives. So I did want to drop, I did want to also say that I know, aside from just knowing the facts and information to give to like your loved one, there is a struggle with language too, right? Tope mo your luno and I'm gonna like kind of speak in Monglish if you all don't mind. But tope mo your luno about COVID like it's really hard to articulate like cho là moi xài moi bia kero pe ne be ji ko lo bao ten ka xia the lo jia xia lo pe but you don't have to be perfect. Cái ta hai lu mong equal percent and A plus, like I think yo có bia min ji lu mong thiên luang ki no, and you just try, and you know that you're going in with a right respectful approach to your parents, and you're doing it because you love them, and you want them to get vaccinated for their own health and safety and protection. And I think that's the best way to go about it. And then there's us, and we'll try to help you there too. Even as the as HIPS language specialist, like I still struggle. As a young person, I still struggle to put words into Hmong, even knowing how critical it is for this information to be made available and known to our communities. So moving on, I did want to drop a quick info sheet that we developed on the current vaccines that are out and available right now. And let me see. And as most of us already know, there are three vaccines or types of vaccines out and available. And in no particular order, just based off of the chart, there's the Pfizer, Moderna, and then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And this is just kind of a quick breakdown of the process and what it looks like. So, it's authorized for use in the US. It's been approved. And for Pfizer and Moderna, as we've known since it's rolled out, is that it does require 2 shots within a different span of time. So for Pfizer, after you get your first dose, then you wait about 3 weeks and go back and get your second dose. And for Moderna, after you get your first dose, you wait for about 4 weeks and get your second dose. And then Johnson and Johnson, as we know, is just a single dose. And specifically, age-wise, Pfizer is for those who are ages 16 and older, and for Johnson and the Moderna vaccine, it's for those who are ages 18 and older who are eligible for the vaccine. And again, the last thing and highlighted in yellow is just that yes, all 3 vaccines are 100% effective in protecting against severe infection and death. So it is 100% effective in preventing you from being severely hospitalized and, being almost near death as a result of contracting COVID-19, if that becomes a chance. Just to put it out there. So, I know there's been a lot of preference for like the double dose. But I did read a quote somewhere that says the best vaccine is the one that is the one that is available and accessible to you. But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that, and I hope this little mini breakdown, is somewhat also really helpful to you all. And other concerns about the vaccine also, and still within, our communities, and when we are communicating with is that they are hesitant to get vaccinated because they've heard of like these horror stories about what happens when you receive the vaccine. Like they've heard things like, oh, like you're gonna like feel severe aches and you're gonna get fever and chills and all these other stuff, wide range of symptoms, right? But just to clear the air and put it out there, the first dose does little to no side effects, but it's the second and final dose that you'll have to prepare your parents for. And preparing them does not mean, we have to scare them or just brush it off. I think it's super important to be very transparent and honest to your parents. Like the first dose, there hasn't been any common concerns or issues or anything that's come out of that, aside from maybe like slight soreness from the site of the injection. But it's the second dose, as I mentioned, is the one where more people have mentioned experiencing symptoms such as like soreness, pain at the site of injection, body aches, headaches, or even fever. But just tell your parents and let them know that that is just temporary and that is, a side effect of the second dose. And it's not forever. And it definitely like, what's the word I'm trying to look for? It definitely like beats out, not getting vaccinated at all. And then later down the road, contracting COVID-19. And then that's even like a harder feat to even like overcome. So just telling them that it's important and that, a lot of people have experienced those symptoms, and that's fine. That's really a part of when you're going in for the second and final dose, if you're doing, Moderna or Pfizer. Yeah. So again, be transparent and clear to your parents. Don't, in your effort and attempt to encourage your parents to get vaccinated, and they're like, oh, của sách cho của họ chỉ xin nhỏ là của chỉ li one bờ là mỗi ít chế là mỗi tao. Don't tell them like, oh, chỉ sách cho anh chỉ muốn lên được了. Like, that's gonna like make it worse, because then if it does happen, they're like, wait, you told me that it wasn't gonna happen, and then suddenly I feel those symptoms, and then they might just go around and call family members and just tell them like what happened, and that just might create an unintentional snowball effect of like deterring family members, relatives to go out and get vaccinated. So just be open and honest, but also instill them with like trust that it's not going to be, bad if they experience some of those symptoms, that it does go away after a while, maybe a few days, in fact. Yeah. And my mom, actually, she did receive her second and final dose of the Pfizer vaccine. I think it was just yesterday, and she didn't experience any symptoms to that I know of, and she didn't tell them. And she would be very transparent with me if she felt funny. But yeah, she completed it, and again, my uncles and aunties also completed it, and I haven't heard any awful stories that have come out. And again, if it is symptoms, it's not anything severe and life threatening enough to be a cause for concern, or to be enough to say I'm not going to get vaccinated. Like, that's definitely out of the question. And again, something super important to remember is that you are only fully vaccinated 2 weeks after your second shot for Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 weeks after Johnson and Johnson, the one shot vaccination. So again, even though you're like, yesterday my mom received her final dose, that doesn't mean like, okay, like I'm in the clear now. Again, because you have to wait 2 weeks, or 2 weeks will pass before you are fully vaccinated and it takes effect. All right. So let me see. As we are slowly closing out, um, we at HIP know that it's going to take time to vaccinate all who are eligible, especially now as these final tiers are opening up and it's increasing eligibility for people to get vaccinated. Whether you're fully vaccinated, have received your first dose, or are seeking an appointment, just please remember this. And again, I know it sounds like a broken record, because every place or commercial or poster you see on businesses have emphasized it, but continue to follow COVID-19 guidelines. That means, the obvious, wearing your mask, or your chu, long ilu ku khan yo to tu ka to dong, or stay physically distanced from others by at least 6 feet. So ta showed lo nhớ day lin the all dan the lu tu to ka to dong thea. And avoid touching your eyes and mouth or face. And when you do go out and come back home, like, definitely thoroughly wash your hands with soap, and continue to wash your hands for about like 20 to 30 seconds. And again, avoid large and close gatherings with other people. Again, abiding to the 6 feet, physical distancing from one another, and just not wanting to be in crowded, full places. And lastly, if you are fully vaccinated, you still need to get tested, especially if you begin to experience any symptoms of COVID-19. And closing, just please reach out to us at HIP. And we've been super, actually really encouraged by the outreach of community members through our socials, or through some of the staff within HIP. We have, our community members in our base reaching out to us via like Facebook Messenger or like Instagram. And again, now we have the COVID-19 vaccine network that we've made available. So we are constantly, I think every day, speaking to community members, trying to get them to secure appointment slots and ultimately get vaccinated. Or, yeah, that's definitely the end goal. So please reach out to us if you or your loved ones are seeking options to get vaccinated. And again, fill out your information through that vaccine network link that we have available now, and we will have someone get back to you. I know that right now we all want to see and spend time with family, friends, loved ones. Like, I have not seen some of my really dear friends, like, living here in the same town as um, like, in over a year. Like, there's one friend I haven't seen since January 2020. Holy crap. Yes, 2020. Excuse my language. I just can't believe it either. And we've talked on the phone, but like, to meet up physically just hasn't been a viable option for either of us. And I know that we are so eager to be reunited and to catch up physically, and, to be festive together, because that's the whole point of, community and coming together with our family, friends, and loved ones. But it's just so critical that we stay vigilant about protecting our health and others until we all get vaccinated. And we all got this. We have to stay strong together in this process, and know that we'll get through this together. So I leave you all with that. Yeah, again, please enjoy your Friday. Thanks for tuning in. This was a bit last minute, and I'm normally used to like having co-hosts with me. So it's really interesting to be here solo and sharing out information, but really appreciate you all. And yeah, thanks for your time and take care until we meet again on our HIP Facebook Live.